Hello everyone, welcome to the next video on the discrete log problem and the Diffie-Hellman key exchange. So this is the first cryptographic application you're going to see, the first real thing which is used in cryptography. What is the discrete log problem? So this problem gives us three pieces of information and asks us to find something. So there's a particular prime number that's selected and G is a generator of ZP star. Okay, and they also give us G to the power of X mod P. So they've given us P, the prime number. They've given us G, the generator that we're using in this prime ZP star. So ZP star can have multiple generators, but we're specifying which generator we're using. And we also give them the information of G to the power of X mod P. So I know G, I know P, I know G to the power of X mod P. Find X. That is the discrete log problem. And X is called a discrete logarithm and not just logarithms. The difference here is the mod P. Now, this problem is computationally hard, especially in finite cyclic groups like ZP star. So remember we studied in the last video about cyclic groups, right? What do you mean by computationally hard? It's that we don't have an efficient algorithm to solve it. So we don't have an efficient algorithm to find X given these three pieces of information. So one way we could do is there's always a linear algorithm, X. So remember, because of the cyclic field, all the powers that I raise it to are from 1 to p minus 1. Think about the previous video or just watch it again if you're not able to recall. We raise G, the generator, to all the powers from 1 to p minus 1 and are able to obtain all the numbers in ZP star, that is 1 to p minus 1. So this X can be any number from 1 to p minus 1. So the linear algorithm would be to check every number from 1 to p minus 1 and see which of these numbers match this H number that I have. So that's a linear algorithm because we're going over every single number. And if p is a very large number, if it's a large prime, which is what we deal with usually in cryptography, then it becomes really hard and lengthy. So we don't want to use that. A good algorithm would be something which would be of the form of log p in that range, like a polynomial in log p. So applications of this is that it forms a backbone of protocols like the Diffie-Hellman key exchange, which we're going to discuss in this video, and the ELGML or the elliptic key encryption, which we will do in a future video. And this is possible because computing g to the power of x is efficient, but finding x from it is difficult. Because if even going in the first direction would be hard, then how is it economical for us to even use it in any kind of cryptography? It should be easy for the right people and hard for the wrong people. So let's go into the Diffie-Hellman key exchange. The goal of this exchange is to exchange a secret key in just one step and between two people. So let me just tell you a story now. Alice and Bob want to communicate and they want to share secret messages with each other. There could be eavesdroppers who are seeing the message in between. So they want to figure out a way to send the message secretly. So Alice goes and buys this nice box which has a lock and a key and decides to put that message in that and lock the box and send the box on courier, and only that key should be able to open it. Alice wants Bob also to have that same key. So this is an example of a symmetric key encryption. Obviously, there's no box and real lock and key. There is an encryption scheme that uses the same information to lock it and to unlock it. So that information, which is the key, should be known by both the sender and the receiver. But to begin with, Alice and Bob need to find some way of being able to exchange that key, to be able to share that same key with Bob too. So that's what this Diffie-Hellman key exchange does. So what happens here is the public parameters are the prime number p, which is used in this encryption scheme, that is known by everyone on the channel, and generator g of zp star, even which generator is being used, because zp star has at least one generator, but it may have even more than one. So whichever generator is used, that is also specified. Now let's understand what Alice and Bob do. So Alice picks a number from ZP star, let's call that small a, and similarly Bob picks a number, let's call that small b, and this is only known to Alice and only known to Bob. And then Alice computes g to the power of small a mod p, and similarly Bob computes g to the power of small b mod p, and let's label them respectively as capital A and capital B. Now what happens is Alice broadcasts to everybody the capital A and Bob broadcasts capital B for everyone to see. So now the new public parameters become prime P generator G. Now also G to the power of A mod P is known and G to the power of B mod P is known. Now what Alice does is Alice gets capital B from Bob and Bob gets capital A from Alice. So Alice computes capital B to the power of small a mod p, and Bob computes capital A to the power of small b mod p. And then they both are able to get the same number, that is g to the power of AB mod p. And the eavesdropper is not able to compute this because the eavesdropper does not know small a and small b, and being able to find that from this information would be solving the discrete log problem, because g to the power of a mod p is known, g is known, p is known, find small a or small b and any of both of the discrete log problem. And the final key obtained is g to the power of ab mod p. Now let's look at the extensions of the Diffie-Hellman key exchange. That was for two people only. But what about exchanging a key between three people? All three of them to have the same key in just one step. A method for that was developed much later in 2000. So the Diffie-Hellman key exchange came up in 1976. It took so many more years to come up for a similar thing for three people. This was given by Jokes. I don't remember his full name, but yeah, Jokes tripartite. Tripartite because it's for three people. And for beyond three, it's still not known. There is still no efficient algorithm to do it in just one step. And that's a requirement for this thing, to be able to exchange or share the key among all the participants in just one step. So for the three people thing, that is based on bilinear pairings in elliptic curves and the elliptic curve discrete log problem. It's a little different from this discrete log problem. We'll look at it later. And these are done on certain constructs called elliptic curves. So certain functions are used and they have very nice properties which enable this to happen. We'll do that all in the next video. And that's it for this one. See you in the next one on the Jukes tripartite protocol, and bye.